beat the #1 player in the world, okay? And by the way, this ain't the first time you beat her. You beat her in 2023. You beat her again this time around. Aryna Sabalenka, that's her name. I'm bringing her up because even though she was the #1 player in the world, I don't think she should be that way now, not after this loss. It should be you. But I'm asking, what is her problem? I mean, somebody got to ask this question. She came across as a very sore loser after she lost to you.
This Belarusian tennis player is being called a sore loser for the comment she made after recently losing to champion Coco Gauff.
She won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes.
So that's Aryna Sabalenka. And to bring you up to speed, Coco Gauff recently beat her at the French Open final. But listen, Aryna didn't take that L well at all.
It just hurts. Honestly, it hurts. Like, been playing really well, and then in the last match, go out there and perform like I did. That's hurt.
Now, all of this sparked a lot of online criticism. Just have a look.
She literally just won the French Open, and the girl that she beat is having a boo-hoo fest about how Coco wasn't necessarily the better player, but I just made too many mistakes, and blaming it on all these other factors.
Coco Gauff is already a household name. She's already cemented her place.
So
Thus, Aryna Sabalenka recently responded to Coco Gauff's most recent trophy. The tennis community isn't handling it well, to be honest. While some are calling it petty, some are standing up for her, and the rest of us are just eating popcorn while we watch the whole thing play out. What really took place, and why is a single remark causing everyone to lose their minds? Tell me in the comments, Team Sabalenka or Team Gauff, before we get into this mess, because you could just swap sides after watching this video.
Was how she just takes the high road, no matter what. We all have heard the comments from Sabalenka, her negativity, talking about Coco wasn't better than her, that Coco didn't beat her, that she lost the match because of her errors. But I just want to say, when you mess with the bull, you get the horn. Sabalenka was so wrong. And what I love about Coco is that she can't say anything, but these women have come after her, whether it's been Sabalenka, Iga, Rybakina. They've made comments, even when Coco was actually #3 in the world, they talked about them being the big three. So every turn she has to face not just her opponent, but the ridicule from her colleagues who should be supportive. And listen, you're playing against an American who's our top American. Have some respect, one, and lose with class.
Now let's discuss what really transpired down here. At the ripe age of 20, Coco Gauff has received another trophy because it seems that collecting awards is her new pastime. The award is one of those year-end honors that garners media attention, starts conversations, and naturally elicits responses from other athletes. Additionally, Aryna Sabalenka had an intriguing reaction when questioned about it. Not quite the tactful response we typically hear in the tennis industry. Congrats to her, she deserves it. It's more of an eye roll mixed with a yeah sure, I guess that's cool vibe. Now, although some find this response amusing, others describe it as bitter, since there is undoubtedly some unresolved business between these two players based on their past, particularly after this year's French Open final. Both sides may have a point. Furthermore, Sabalenka's response to Gauff's most recent accomplishment is simply one more development in their increasingly intense rivalry.
I think today I didn't really handle myself quite well, mentally, I would say. So basically that's it. I was just making unforced errors. Like, I don't know, I have to check the statistics. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from, like, if you look from the outside, kind of like from an easy balls.
You can't comprehend the current drama without knowing what transpired in Paris, so let's take a moment to go back and discuss that French Open final. Aryna Sabalenka was the clear favorite going into that final. Everyone was expecting her to add another Grand Slam trophy to her collection because she had been dominating the event and playing some of the finest tennis of her career. However, Coco Gauff appeared and essentially declared, "Not today, Satan." Gauff prevailed in the game. She also barely made it. She was a cunning, aggressive tennis player who took advantage of any error Sabalenka made. And Sabalenka made a lot of blunders, specifically 70 unintentional mistakes. 70! It's not a typo. This is where things started to get messy. After the game, Sabalenka chose to take a different approach, rather than accepting the defeat and admitting that Gauff had outplayed her that day. She essentially suggested in her post-match press conference that Sabalenka lost the match rather than Gauff. She discussed the weather, the state of the court, and how everything seemed strange to her. Indeed, it is terrible to lose a Grand Slam final. No one disputes that. However, people begin to side-eye you when you begin to make excuses and minimize your opponent's success. Those remarks were a huge hit with the tennis community. The problem is that both players were dealing with the same circumstances on the same court in the same weather. One player adjusted and managed to prevail. The other participant didn't. That's tennis. That's sports. That's life. When your opponent faced the identical situation and prevailed, you cannot attribute it to outside influences. This isn't how it operates. To be honest, the justification didn't end there. For some reason, Sabalenka also made the strange decision to include Iga Swiatek in the discussion, implying that the outcome may have been different if Iga had advanced to the final rather than Gauff. Like, that hypothetical was not requested. The final did not include EGA. Coco was and prevailed. The narrative is over. However, it seems that Sabalenka had to fabricate a different reality in which she doesn't appear as awful, which only made the situation more uncomfortable for everyone in attendance.
I think if Iga would win me another day, I think she would go out today and she would get the win. It just, like, yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I'm here sitting here, and last time I played, no, like to Iga or anything, but I played her and I won in straight sets. So, but yeah, I think regardless of who I played, I think I had a good shot to win, and I definitely had that belief. And if you ask me, like, honestly speaking to you guys, who I wanted to play, it was Iga, just because I felt Aryna was playing so good, and she was. So, but also Iga is a tough opponent too. So honestly, neither of them would have been a better shot, but it played out how it played out, and yeah, that's why I'm here today.
In the present, Coco Gauff is receiving yet another prize for her outstanding year. When Sabalenka was questioned about it, her response was comparable to that of someone who is informed that they must attend a 3-hour meeting on a Friday afternoon. It was evident that there was no real excitement. Furthermore, nobody anticipates that participants will be best friends with their opponents. It's not a Disney film. However, there is a distinction to be made between being competitive and blatantly discounting the accomplishments of others. The pattern we're observing with Sabalenka adds even more intrigue to the entire situation, because she has experienced gracious loss before. Do you recall the time she lost it over audience support at the US Open, or the time she attributed a subpar performance to stomach problems? Every time something doesn't work out for her, there's always an outside reason. And whether she likes it or not, that is beginning to become her brand. This is the problem with Aryna Sabalenka. She's amazing when she's winning. She is endearing. She has a sense of humor. Everyone adores her larger-than-life demeanor as she dances for the cameras. However, the excuses begin to come in as soon as things don't go as planned. And the thing that irritates people is the discrepancy in character. Because it seems like someone capable of giving but incapable of receiving. Someone who, while they are in the spotlight, is all smiles and laughter, but becomes resentful and bitter when someone else is. Contrast that with Coco Gauff's loss management strategy. She's had her fair share, I assure you. She has faced pressure that would break most people her age, lost significant games, and been upset in competitions she was supposed to win. However, you don't see her minimizing her opponent's successes or offering justifications. When she loses, she owns up to her mistakes and offers credit where credit is due. That's maturity. That's professionalism. And that's precisely what Sabalenka lacks right now. Some followers of Sabalenka will contend that she's merely being truthful, that she isn't hiding behind PR-approved answers and expressing feelings. Authenticity is important, of course, but sportsmanship is also important. Acknowledging the importance of your comments is crucial, particularly if you're a top player with a large platform. You're not just defending your opponent. When you minimize their accomplishment, you're telling young players who are watching that it's okay to make excuses, that being a sore loser is acceptable. If you're frustrated about your own failure, it's okay to minimize someone else's accomplishment. Sadly, Sabalenka doesn't have to do this. She's accomplished, successful, and talented enough to stand on her own 2 feet. She doesn't have to destroy Coco Gauff in order to make herself better. But she continues to choose that course for some reason, and it's getting tiresome to watch. These 2 players couldn't be more different from one another. Gauff is winning championships, breaking records, collecting accolades, and doing it all with dignity and humility. She's not perfect, no one is. However, she constantly treats the game and her rivals with respect. Sabalenka, meanwhile, is out there making subtle jabs and appearing as though everyone else, aside from herself, is to blame for every defeat. The irony of the entire situation is that Sabalenka has a lot of professional accomplishments to be proud of. She's won multiple Grand Slam titles. She has been given the top spot in the world. Almost everyone on tour has been defeated by her at some point. But she seems more interested in minimizing the success of others than in acknowledging her own achievements and using them as inspiration to improve. And that is just depressing. To be honest, the tennis community enjoys a good rivalry. Federer and Nadal, Evert and Navratilova, and Serena and Venus. These rivalries were fierce, competitive, and sometimes acrimonious, but they were always based on respect for one another. Even when they were engaged in intense competition, both players acknowledged each other's brilliance. That's what made those rivalries legendary, and that's precisely what Sabalenka's approach to her war with Gauff lacks. Because this is the truth.
Coco Gauff will continue to prevail. She possesses the mental toughness to excel at the top level and is youthful, motivated, and always developing. Furthermore, Sabalenka is not harming Gauff if she continues to react to his achievement with barely disguised animosity and disparaging remarks. All she's doing is making herself appear insecure and petty. Sabalenka's approval is not necessary for Gauff. The awards are self-explanatory. The honors are self-explanatory. The rankings are self-explanatory. And perhaps that's the main issue facing Sabalenka. Perhaps it's the fact that Gauff is succeeding at such a young age, prevailing in their conflicts when it counts most, and doing it all while upholding this image of humility and grace. Observing someone else follow the career path you wish you had might be challenging. However, that is not Gauff's issue. Sabalenka should deal with that on her own, ideally with a sports psychologist rather than during news conferences after games. This is the main point. Another illustration of a trend that has been emerging for some time is Aryna Sabalenka's response to Coco Gauff's most recent prize, and it doesn't look nice. Being competitive doesn't have to mean being rude. It is possible to feel dissatisfied with your own performance without devaluing the accomplishments of others. Additionally, you can express your emotions honestly without coming off as a bitter loser. These are not mutually exclusive. Tennis fans ought to be treated better than this trivial drama. Better is what the sport deserves. Furthermore, Sabalenka is deserving of better. She has the potential to be a champion in every sense of the word, notably in terms of awards received, but also in terms of sportsmanship and morality. However, she must make that decision. She must choose whether she wants to be remembered as a brilliant player who occasionally failed or as a great player who was unable to cope with someone else's success. Regarding Coco Gauff, she'll be all right. She will continue to win, accumulate accolades, and demonstrate her superiority in the sport. Hopefully, Sabalenka will finally realize that she is the only one who is suffering from these symptoms, because the tennis world has a long memory at the end of the day. Furthermore, how you respond to failure is just as important as how you respond to success. That's it. Another Coco Award, another dubious response from Aryna, and one more reminder of the importance of sportsmanship. What are your thoughts? Is Sabalenka receiving unfair criticism, or should she examine that mindset? Tell me in the comments section below. For more tennis drama, hit the like button and subscribe if you like this breakdown.